Hello everyone, today we are looking at Ninja Gaiden Black. Oh my god. First of all, this game is very strange. One, it's about a, Japanese ninja, and for some reason it's a Xbox exclusive. That's always just kind of weirded me out why it was only ever on the original Xbox, but that's, it is what it is, I guess. This game is, really hard. Whenever I think of people saying Dark Souls is a hard game, it's like, no, Dark Souls is an unfair game that once you know that one weird trick, you kind of know how to deal with the enemy, and then you kind of go back and do your souls and whatever. Ninja Gaiden, you could know exactly what you have to do every time, but it's still going to be an absolute bastard case to actually do it. It is just absolutely so difficult, so ridiculously hard. The gameplay is, once you get good at it, you do feel very accomplished, but even so, it's like you need to be playing at a top level at all times. It's a very physical, kind of a meaty game. Ryu, the way he moves through the environment, he'll kind of jump and hop, and even when you kick off the wall to do a aerial attack, it feels like you've been hit. And so there's a big strategy around, basically, what I did is I just kind of tried to jump around the map, jump off walls, and then do strong and heavy attacks on other characters and run away. Because once you get into, a combo or something, you are basically going to lose a lot of health and just take a huge amount of damage. And it's so hard where you're just running around this enemy trying to predict their attacks and just trying not to get hit and not die. And it's hard. This I think might be the hardest game I have ever played. It is kind of ridiculous. And on that point, it is so hard that I never actually beat it. I made it to, I think, the halfway point after I beat Alma or whatever, and the first fight with Alma. And after that, I was like, okay, you know what? I beat that boss. It nearly killed me, but I'm not having fun. I don't enjoy this gameplay, and I don't enjoy the overzealous challenge. I'm just gonna walk away, and that's exactly what I did. There is some dialogue and reading and story. Basically, Ryu is part of a ninja clan that has defended the dragon sword, which is this ancient mythical weapon, for centuries. There are actually two dragon swords. One is in the village that Ryu defends. The other one is in the temple in the mountains. And so it's kind of like, oh, we defend this thing, but we can never use its power because it's too powerful. And of course, what happens after the tutorial level, Ryu ends up, the village ends up getting attacked, and Ryu has to defend it, basically. And they're invaded by these strange soldiers with weapons and, other rival ninjas. And the main antagonist, which is a suit of samurai armor that is sentient and has no face. And so this is the main antagonist of the game that you kind of have to track down and retrieve the dragon sword from and defeat. It's also very interesting that once you leave the village, you head for this fictional place called the Vigor Empire, which is a very interesting place because it's a combination of, I think, like Southern European and other aesthetics where you're not exactly sure where in the world you are. And again, the enemies have this highly advanced technical, armor and suits and all this stuff, but there's no specific place that you can really point to that where it's from. So it makes it pretty distinct and iconic. And so we kind of go through these weird sort of crypto fantasy, crypto imperialist, strongholds and levels, and trying to basically get the dragon sword back and helping the other characters in the story. The main one being Rachel, who essentially is this demon hunter who basically became that way because her sister Alma was turned into a fiend by the Demon King, and so you end up fighting her quite a bit and trying to save her sister's soul, basically, while you also pursue the Demon King and getting back your blade and stopping the control for power. Again, Ryu, he uses his, X for light attacks, Y for strong attacks. Usually Y will be used for combo breakers or things where you want to go down quickly through the air. with certain combos and the way you position the control stick, you are able to essentially do a decapitation style move, which is incredibly effective against most enemies, but doesn't work on everyone. And again, later in the game, it just gets crazy to a point where you're fighting armed guards with like rocket launchers and lances and stuff. And like I ended up getting my ass handed to me every single time. Honestly, it's just ridiculous how hard this game is, and I just was not having a good time. There's even a level where you have to go up against a tank, and you just need to just deal with it. I'm also not a huge fan of the interface. It feels kind of like this big chunky thing, kind of like Devil May Cry, and has an off-putting, weird, I don't know, feeling to it. And again, there's just no real interesting story that drew me in. And Ryu as a character is usually very silent and doesn't talk a lot. And so because of that, there's not much to kind of go on until you really kind of meet Rachel and you get a really more distinct character motivation. Again, you can block, jump, but it feels like everything is like a half-second decision where, if you make the one wrong move, your entire combo could be thrown off, and then suddenly you're actually the one losing so much health. And yeah. Ryu also has other items he can use, other weapons that he can utilize, as well as long as bows, shurikens, and other weapons that allow him to attack, including things like a wooden sword and claws and other kinds of weapons. Ryu also has a combination of magic scrolls he can use to cast things like fireballs, electrical attacks, ice moves, and basically, do certain hidden like ninja jutsus and stuff. I mean, on that point, this is, I think, the ultimate ninja game. Despite, especially with how hard it is, like you really can't get hit by any bullets. You really can't deflect the bullets. This game is just punishing, unforgiving, ridiculous. And despite all that, it has kind of like a cult following for how hard it is. Again, some of the bosses are really over-the-top kinds of things. I mean, Alma is this 9-foot-tall pink demon that has giant attacks, and you have to, even with muscle memory, I swear to God, these things are very difficult. One of the first bosses out of the second level is this giant cyborg guy with a giant chain gun and a flamethrower. So there's definitely a level of kind of, a fantasy world, which I don't know what its aesthetic is. It's not exactly like, I don't know, early imperialist, but it's something that would be similar to, I don't know, something like Full Metal Alchemist is what comes to mind. It's one of those kinds of universes, and it is pretty distinct in that style, but again, there's only so much punishment I can take from the game and the getting game over screens before I'm just like, you know what, I'm done. There are some rare puzzle-solving sections and platforming areas, but really this game is 90% combat, and it really is the main focus, and it kind of shows because the combat is so complex and complicated that it kind of needs to live up to that standard. Anyway, I don't really know what else to say about this game. It said it is notoriously, ridiculously hard. This is the game that I think earns the reputation of being the hardest game ever made. Possibly. Because again, it's like fair enough to give you the tools you need to succeed, but my God, the tools just don't always super work, and it can be mega super frustrating. In any case, that's kind of all I have to say about this game. I'm sure only masochists enjoy it, but to anyone else who enjoys it, Godspeed to you. And I guess, just on the sequels, I played, a bit of Ninja Gaiden 2 on 360. I played a bit of Sigma, and they definitely seem a lot easier and more balanced. But they, again, don't have quite the same vibe as this game. And if I'm just going to play a game just for the sake of it being hard, it's really not my thing. Dark Souls at least has kind of a story and a lore and a universe that's interesting, while this one is just kind of whatever. But yeah, Ryu, he's a cool character, a really great character design, actually. It's looking for a normal black ninja outfit. And yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Bye.